Okay, so I want to talk today a little bit about my own personal transformation, how I ended up, wanting to make these videos and help other people. And well, for all my life I've been interested in personal development and the science of achievement, but I've also done a lot of spiritual work, um, daily rituals, meditations, constant working with myself, improving my thinking processes, constant feedback, constant looking at what I'm doing and taking it back in, improving it, sending it back out there. It's been a long process, and it was only recently that I really had what can only be described as a kind of enlightenment experience. It came as it seems as a result, I would say, of 20 plus years of constant striving for that state of deep realization, a breakthrough. And it's only when that experience came that everything in me that was resisting who I really was suddenly stopped resisting. And I found myself being absolutely at one with everything around me, but not in the sense that I was indistinguishable from it, but rather that there was a sense that what was happening out there in the world, in the universe, and what was happening in here was not separate. May have appeared separate before, but was no longer separate. There was just continuity between me and that which is. There was just a flow of energy. I was part of the energy. I am part of the energy, and it is part of me. So we're one. You see. So the current of my environment and the current of my thought, they're not two different things. In the past, they did appear to be that way, and I think to most people, that's how they live their life. They think here, and then the world outside is over here. So you've got their thinking. You've got your thinking processes, then you've got the world outside. Your thinking allows you to interact in the world, and what's outside may be affected by you, or it may not be, but it's seen as something separate. In other words, you might go out there and change your environment. You might go out there and change society, or affect somebody by what you say or do, or you might choose not to. You might choose just to leave it alone. But what is the point of my experience, my enlightening experience, my moment of realization, was that is actually an illusion. And at least for me now is, what is really happening is that my thinking and what's happening out there are not separate at all. So it's not a question that I can think a certain way, choose to act a certain way based on my thinking, say I choose to do this and change society or change another person or affect the world outside me, my outside world in some way, or not to do that. I don't have, as far as I'm concerned, I do not have that choice. There's just simply a continuity of energy. I'm constantly affecting what's going on out there, and it's constantly affecting me. Because we are one movement of energy. So it's kind of like think of a wheel going around, and the spokes on the wheel, are they affecting the rim of the wheel? Are they affecting the axle? Well, yes, they're certainly in contact with it. I mean, if you took all the spokes out, the rim would flop about and would not have contact with the centre. So the spokes are affecting the rim, and equally so the rim is affecting the spokes, because the spokes with the rim might flop about like this, but the rim holds them in place. See what I'm saying? So the rim is affecting the spokes, and the spokes affecting the rim, and the spokes in turn affect the centre, and therefore the rim of the wheel, the entire rim of the wheel, is affecting the centre also through the spokes. Well, that's what's happening with me. That's exactly what's happening. And why do you choose to see the center in the universe out there or in yourself? It doesn't really matter for this analogy. But the fact is that there's no separation. The wheel is simply turning about a center, and everything is affecting everything else. So when I had that realization, there was no more resistance to who I was. And in that sense, I started to realize that the center, now I grasp that the center is in fact within me, in relation to the world. Even though I said that you don't need to know what the center is to understand the analogy, but yes, in fact it is within me, what I call me. Similarly, the center is within you, and you're radiating out through the spokes of your experience something which is in turn radiating energy back to you simultaneously and completely mutually. The point being is that there is no separation between thought and action. Two things are simply linked. They just move. They do not move independently. You don't think then act. There's just thinking and action together at the same time, simultaneously. So this is my great breakthrough. I'm trying to communicate this to people, and when I communicate it, it's almost impossible to put into words because it almost starts to sound. It risks sounding like gibberish, but it's a very real experience, and it's very important to understand what this actually means.